Hello everybody, we are back for part 4 of our Coral series here at the Speed Poker 20 no limit tables. We've just got started here, checking back the ace-3, and we have turned a straight against Matthew Jocko. I'm going to just shove it all in. If he's got a red card, if he's got a queen, I would imagine for an extra €2, he's going to be willing to play with us, but apparently I am wrong in this instance. But a good start. At least we won the pot here. Over on the left-hand side, we're going to open ace-queen under the gun. We see a limp, as previously discussed in this series. We want to isolate limps pretty wide. I think we're going to do it here for the 4x. And we can go one of two ways here with the ace-queen. We can certainly bet. We can certainly check. I don't hate making a half-pot c-bet here, just capitalizing on the dead money. Denying him some equity going forward. But we do get check raised. I'm running to the hills with the ace-queen. And with the ace-5, we will just fold to a double-sized pot bet. Yeah, best to just get out of the way of this. Right-hand side, 8-9 off is going to be a fold again. The game will start soon. This is going to be another 15-minute video coming at you short and sharp. So hopefully we can get involved in some fun and interesting, strategically valuable situations. Fresh off our very, very good part 3. Blind v blind here. I'm going to put in the raise with ace-queen against this Swedish guy who calls. King-queen 6 flop is pretty good. Not the best, not the worst. And he leads 60 cents, which is a little bit unexpected. Not something I'd expect most regular players to do. Obviously, we're not going to fold just yet. So calling seems good. We're getting a very, very good price here. Now, obviously, he's going to roll up with a king sometimes, but we only need to be good at the moment. We're getting, 5-1 here, so we can afford to call and be wrong a decent amount, as long as we're good sometimes, and I definitely think that we are. The real decision is going to be on the river, I guess. If he bets like 2, which I would expect, given he's raised his sizings a little bit every street. I think now when he bets 380, we would just let ace-queen go. We've got a bunch of kings that we can call. We got jack-10 we can call. We got kings, queens, aces, probably king-queen we would 3-bet, so ace-king. So I'm happy just folding here and not worrying too much about it. I don't expect him to show up with too much worse, so we'll just let it go. And we see a limp here from a guy playing on his phone. Again, these games seem pretty good this evening. We are going to mark both these up as potential recreational players. Good to have the color code just so that at a quick glance when we're playing speed poker, we can see if the table is hopefully a little bit softer. We're going to open here king 5 suited on the left. And on the right-hand side, we are going to just do nothing with the 10-5 off that we find ourselves on this flop, just as a product of being in the big blind. Left-hand side, 6-7 off is a little bit too weak to do anything with. We don't want to 3-bet versus the button. We don't really want to steal here. Out of position against shove pretty, so we will just speed fold. This guy may have lost signal on the right-hand side. 9-5 of clubs on the left side is typically a reasonable candidate for a 3-bet bluff blind v blind. Not really quite connected enough to call, but certainly, like I say, a decent candidate for a 3-bet. We're not going to 3-bet someone who's got $4.41, just because they're probably recreational, looking to gamble a little bit. We just want a 3-bet for with all our strong hands there, of course. So we're probably just giving up here. We'll defend to a min open from the button, given the price, I think, though. And we will check the flop. I don't think our hand is strong enough to lead, but we can certainly check call versus the button, I would imagine. He does overbet, was a little bit worrying, but certainly going to call 1 bet here. Most likely giving up on the turn if he double barrels with this hand. We've certainly got, again, better hands to be carrying on with, and I think folding is just going to be absolutely fine. You could certainly make an argument for folding pre, like I say. If we get raised, we wouldn't want to call versus a small blind all the time. Although it wouldn't be the end of the world for a min open. But when we get a min open from the button and a call in the small blind, we're getting a pretty decent price to see a flop. So it's certainly close, but I don't think going to be too bad at all. And we're going to open the king 10 here. Once again, I think we've got 2 potentially weaker players in the blinds. We will fold to a shove from Osman if it comes, and 3-bet's kind of odd. Obviously, we're getting a really good price, but I think our hand's very easy dominated against the sort of hands that he would min 3-bet. If he's looking to gamble, like super wide, I would imagine he just shoves. So this is probably more likely to be a pretty strong hand. I'm actually just going to fold. And not feel too bad about it. We're probably pretty crushed by his range. Almost everybody at the moment is looking kind of recreational, which is good. It's good for us. We get a button limp. Ace-8 suited I would potentially raise. I think ace-8 off. We will just take a flop and lead when we flop the 8 here. And opening with the 7-8 suited on the left-hand side. Big decision on the right for the half-pot bet, apparently, from Maniac, who takes the less maniacal action and just folds. Left-hand side again, we've got a reasonable candidate for a either 3-bet or a call versus the small blind. I think calling would be absolutely fine. Obviously, we're not calling versus cutoff or button, but should we get some blind-on-blind action, I don't see why we wouldn't take a flop in position. That's full show. And he just limps. We'll just take a flop here. Against Maniac, we're not going to bet the 5-4 suited on this flop. We don't have any backdoors. We will just be giving up. I'm just giving whatever. I'll take a 20-cent stab here. He's probably limping any 2 cards he gets dealt. So just again, denial of equity, capitalizing on the dead money in the middle is never going to be that bad. King, the very next hand. Seems like a good spot for a raise to me. We see a call from the button. Hopefully this guy comes along and it looks like one of those spots that gets squeezed very often. So you might think I'm going to be potentially a little bit lighter here. But actually I have the kings. So we want to go a little bit bigger than average. Obviously we've got call. So we'll just go to about 260. I think it's good. We don't need to go massive just because we've got 11 euro stack and a 10 euro stack here. So we'll just squeeze to 260. And hopefully somebody comes along. Nice. We get action from Maniac, who then leads a pretty scary board for us. Obviously not the best. We'd prefer it to be a little bit drier, but when he's only got this amount and bets 4, we can go one of 2 ways. I think potentially just shoving is good. Like if he's connected with the flop, I don't imagine he folds, and he's not got that much behind in terms of pot size bets, just over 1 pot size bet. So I think just shoving is going to be our best play. Especially if we raise here to like 280 and we get like a 5, an 8, a 10, a spade, a 9. Do you know what I mean? There's a lot of bad turns. I don't think we lose too much value at all. Right hand side, we get a limp from Kodak. And we're going to isolate this pretty big in position with the ace-king. We do get 3-bet by, that's all right. This is probably going to be a reasonably strong hand. With that said, he isn't in full. We are opening the cutoff and we're ISOing a recreational's limp. So we can potentially think that we're ISOing this pretty wide and come in with a 3-bet with a hand like jacks or 10s. So I do think we just shove here and what will be with the ace-king. Left-hand side, we've got a lot of equity, and against the short stack, we are going to raise and just try and play for this 7 euros. We've got a gut shot straight draw, an ace as an over, the nut flush draw. We do make the spades, which is very good. He's got about a pot size bet left, so we'll just make an irresistible sizing on the turn that he won't ever fold for, and size it up half pot at the river, just to try and make sure we get paid here. So we're all in for 4 euros now. And we end up getting paid off by 8-9, which is top pair. So that works out very well. We had a lot of equity against that hand on the flop, and we managed to realize it. Right hand side, we turn a gut shot, straight draw, and a flush draw. Without any of these people putting in a bet on the flop, I'm just going to go ahead and pot river, pot turn, pot river, and expect to get a decent amount of folds. Nobody in a limp pot there should be too strong. Since we're on a short video, we want lots of action. Let's open the Queen 5 of Hearts. Seems reasonable anyway. And King 10, we will c-bet on the Queen 9-6 with our gut shot, even against just a 6 euro stack. The question is, should we be bluffing a guy with 6 euros? Probably not. I mean, we can still be ahead of 7-8, Jack 10. Those hands most likely not folding. I think our best bet is just going to be to give up. We river a king, which is going to be the best hand, a decent amount against the guy here. We'll just bet a euro and try and get paid. Obviously folding if he does anything like go all in. I'm actually going to check back here with the Queen 5. we're never going to get 3 streets of value from worse with our top pair hand. We don't really need to bet to protect against the diamond, since if he has one, he's going to call anyway. So we lose on all diamond turns regardless. So I'm not too worried about protecting those diamonds or whatever. I mean, it sucks to get check raised with this hand. By a hand like Jack 10 with a diamond, for example, because we're just giving up so much equity, we can't really call a check raise. So I think checking one back with this sort of hand and going 1 street closer to showdown is good. But once he double pots turn on the diamond, obviously a very, very easy fold for us. In that spot, we've just got to make sure we have some hands that are going to be able to call turns, so we don't want to be c-betting all our diamonds. So sometimes like a pair with a diamond or a second pair with the nut diamond, or what was it, Queen 9-4, so checking back with like Ace 9 with the Ace of Diamonds is good, because it still keeps some nutted hands in your range for when that sort of thing happens on turns. Left-hand side, we're going to call this min bet, and right-hand side with kings, we're going to pump it up to 250 again. Yeah, so we just came along here for the min open with a suited hand. Getting a really good price. We get 20 cents. Obviously, we're just going to call. I think it would be a little bit silly to raise. Once the Swedish guy raises on the button, I do think we're done, even though we've got top pair. It's really hard for us to get to showdown with the best of it, so we'll just let it go. Left-hand side, obviously we flop top set. There is a club draw out. I think we want to bet here. We're going to bet pretty small. I think it's better than checking against 2 people. Even though we've kind of got, obviously, a really strong hand here. This is fantastic. I do think we should bet, given the 4-5 and the clubs. Obviously, we're just all in. Against Saddles Tramp, who gets it in with 8-5 anyway, and is drawing dead on the turn. 20-0 speed poker on Coral, guys. Let me tell you, seems like the place to be to me. Seems like the place to be. Action is good. We finished part 3. I think we won a couple buy-ins, and so far part 4 we're up. At least a buy-in. At least a buy-in. We're going to make a bet here. We're going to actually make a real small c-bet. We don't need to bet big here to fold out 6-7 of diamonds and stuff like that. And he's never folding a 10, a queen, and ace. So we'll just bet super small, try and fold out like pocket 2s, pocket 3s. Like I say, deny an equity against like 5-6 of diamonds or whatever. And we'll just check back now. It also allows us to see all 3 cards usually when we bet flop. And with backdoor spades and a gut shot, that's never going to be a bad thing. Just obviously folding to a pot-sized bet. Right-hand side, we flop a queen. I think in a limp pot, we will just make a bet. Hand's not really strong enough to pot and try and go 3 streets, but I think definitely just go bigger on the turn when there are a lot of draws out. Looking at the texture here, he can have spades, he can have 4-5, he can have ace-5, ace-4 sort of hands. So we'll just go €1 on the turn, try and build a little pot here. Potentially going to go for a check call at the river. So many draws miss that I think we're better off to check call and try and bluff catch rather than bet ourselves. And on the left-hand side, we'll make a bit of a wider open since we're trying to get some action going for the video. I don't think too bad, 4-6 of spades, but these 15-minute ones, we want them to be jam-packed full of interesting stuff. So we'll take the riskier line, I guess. 5-handed King Jack off is probably fine as an open, especially with the games being as good as they are. We got 2 recreational players in the blinds. Seems like we can open a little bit wider. We are going to c-bet this board. We should probably be c-betting almost our entire range on the ace-ace-5 boards. And with the King of Clubs, we're going to barrel some as well. And we get a fold for the tiny c-bet, which is always good. Ace-9 suited is going to be close. This guy's got 30 big blinds. 20 big blinds I think we would shove over an open. 30's a little bit rich, maybe. A little bit deeper than we would like. Pretty close. Let's go for it. I think it's going to be fine. Probably one of the weaker suited aces that I would jam for 30 big blinds, though. And we run into the King's blind v blind. It's okay. I'm running very well. We're just going to hit an ace or spade. Maybe not. Pretty unfortunate blind v blind. I think this can play fine as a call, but from what I've seen of these players, there seems to be quite a willingness to gamble. So we'll gamble it up there with the ace-9 suited for 30 big blinds. Obviously, a lot of the time he's just gonna fold, and when he doesn't, we'll always have reasonable equity. He can even call off some worse hands. Like I say, if he's looking to play for his last €5 or €6. 3-3 on the right. We're gonna open 4-handed. And king 7 off, we were going to check, obviously, but we see a raise here, another ISO. Piggin looks again to be a recreation. I think this is the guy we just doubled up, actually. We don't have very good equity here against any 2 cards, so we're not going to put any more money into the pot. We're just going to check behind. And we check behind this flop with hands sometimes even as strong as aces. I'd much rather check aces behind here than a hand like 8s. 8s probably needs a little bit more protection, but a check back with aces against a regular is going to be reasonable, since you can't really get 3 streets from worse on this board. So our range is definitely protected. Not that we have to worry against Piggin playing for 11 euros in the 20 in our pool, but just something to think about when we're playing tougher opponents. Obviously now we're literally playing the board, so we'll get out of there. King Queen of Diamonds is a raise on the left hand side, and that concludes, really, we've already hit our 15 minutes here of fast paced coral white hot action. So this will probably be our final hand. The King Queen of Diamonds flops very well. We're going to go ahead and bet it. If this guy raises, we're going to look to go all in. We have so much equity in the pot that we're not really that worried. Let's sit out to our next big blind and wind down the 4th and final part of the series on coral. I hope you guys have enjoyed the 4-part series here at 20 now. I certainly have. The games have been good. If you guys are getting involved, hopefully you can take some of the information from these videos and use it to your benefit. As ever, if you've got any comments, questions, queries, criticisms, whatever you like, fire them in the comments and get involved. I will be around to answer your questions. We are going to check back here with the 9s. Again, we want some hands in our range that are going to be able to check back turn and check back flop rather and call turn. So when we can't get 3 streets of value from 9s, this seems like a good candidate. We will call. And we're probably going to end up having to call the river. This is going to be one of the stronger hands we check back and get to this point with, so we should probably not fold. Otherwise, we're just going to be folding every hand here, which is going to be exploitable. We don't want that to happen, and I think he's capable of exploiting us, so we definitely just got to click call. And he ends up having a set, but I don't think we want to fold here. And we're going to check fold the 10-4. A7 off, certainly strong enough just to call here in the big blind if our opponent opens from the small blind, but he gives us a walk. Just playing out our free hands here. We're sat out on the right-hand table. Always good to play to the big blind, of course, just making sure we get max value. We're not going to do anything with ace-9 off out of position. And I think that's it. Nope. Nah. A little bit too weak. 8-6 suited. We can min open the button, though, I think. See what we got going on here for a final hand in the series. We flop an 8 on King 8-4. This isn't a situation I would typically see bet, but I think into 2 players who we think their range is going to be pretty wide, we can definitely just bet for protection with our hand here, and it's going to be much more viable for us to win the pot. We kind of have to bet there, otherwise we're going to be giving up too much. And I think when both their ranges are so wide, we can afford to just bet a little bit wider for our protection. Not going to open the 9-7 of diamonds because we've got a short stack player in the big blind. Obviously, we're folding anyway when under the gun opens. What is it? The end of these videos, they always seem to give me some sick hands at the end. Not that I'm complaining. We got queens blind v blind, but unfortunately, no action. We'll just fold the king 6 off. And I haven't actually clicked sit out. So that's probably why they kept dealing me hands, you see, because I didn't actually click sit out. But right, let's just carry on here. Now I've got to play to my big blind, see, to make sure I'm getting enough my fair share of free hands. So this is actually a worthwhile hand that we've got here, because a lot of people are just auto c-betting in this spot, and it's another one of those hands where it's useful for us to have some nut flushes in our range when we check flop. It's not a hand we can get 3 streets of value from with the ace-8, so we're actually going to check turn again. The 9 does suck somewhat, but I think a lot of the hands that the 9 improves, for example, Queen-Jack, are going to stab. Jack-9's going to stab, Queen-9's going to stab, so we only really lose to ace-9 on this river. I don't think we can get value, but I'm kind of tempted to call. You shouldn't have too many 9s. And we end up getting it through. Or we end up winning the pot, rather. So again, that's a spot where we're not going to get 3 streets of value, so we don't necessarily need to bet the flop. We're going to want some check calls on that flop, and ace-8 with the spade seems good. We're going to c-bet here. We've got 3/5 of a straight, 3/5 of a flush. The ace is actually not a great card for us, since a lot of our ace-highs would check back flop. We do have some fold equity, but I think this guy's got a decent amount of ace-x in his range. We're actually going to check behind. River's going to be really close. Probably going to have to end up calling again. It's one of those where we most likely bet an ace ourselves on the turn. So rivering a queen is most likely one of the better hands we get to the river with. So if he's bluffing something like 6-7, etc., we would have to call, I guess. And we do pick off the bluff against the 10-7 of clubs. Okay, so my 15-minute video is more like a 20-minute video, but that's okay. You get a little bit of bonus content to end the series. We're actually going to isolate here. We want to iso the limps pretty wide. I think this is kind of close, but I think we should be okay. Probably one of the weaker hands that I do, though, one of the weaker offsuit hands. We flop an open-ended straight draw. Seems like a good spot to bet. And obviously we run very good this video, so we turn the straight. We're just going to bet pretty big now. We want to keep building the pot. Once we make the nuts, don't see any reason to check. People tend to call down more than they get aggressive, so definitely just always good. If in doubt and you have a strong hand, just to keep on betting, and we're gonna fire again on the river. Unfortunately, our opponent folds, but we win another pot. Nice. And we will open the 8s. Getting a lot of good free hands here. A lot of good free hands. No set this time, and multi-way on ace-10-5 doesn't seem like a good position for us to be putting any more money in, so we're just going to check and give up. However, the run good of the video continues, an 8 on the turn. We are going to raise against Savicare. We can't really represent too much when we do so. Like, it doesn't really make much sense for us to check back flop raise turn. With that said, it's really hard for us to have any bluffs, but I don't think this player... From what I've seen, these guys probably not folding an ace, or he can definitely have a flush draw, spades, or hearts. So we're going to look to build the pot here when we effectively turn the nuts. And he does call. We boat up on the river. So this is one of those, right, where we don't really rep much for value on the turn that checks back this flop. He's either going to have an ace, which has already called a turn raise, so he must, have some faith in it, or he's going to have a flush draw, which is just going to fold. So we're actually going to go all in over the size of the pot, because either we're bluffing or we've got the nuts, and it's kind of easier to bluff than it is to have the nuts. And if he's got an ace, he's probably not going to believe us. Unfortunately, he folds the river pretty quick. So I imagine that was something like, I don't know, Jack 10 of hearts, say, that had a pair and a flush draw. But I think if he's got an ace, it's a very, very reasonable spot for him to bluff catch when the brick 5 river falls. It's not sitting me out again. It is sitting me out. At last. All right, folks. Thanks very much for tuning into this series. I hope you've enjoyed it. If you have enjoyed it, feel free to subscribe here on the YouTube channel if you're watching on YouTube, or if you're watching on the Poker VIP website, stick around for some more series in the future, and let me know what you think in the comments below. Thanks very much once again, and hope to see you soon.